Hi, everybody. This is Khaki Jeter. This is my teacher interview presentation for 608. So, on this interview, I chose to interview another teacher from my school, but she has also been just a lifelong friend that I've had my whole life. We grew up together and went to school together, and my husband and her were in the same grade, and our friends, and so we have teacher conversations all the time. So this gave me the chance to really have those serious conversations with her, which I really enjoyed. Her name is Alicia Holly, and she teaches third grade at Corinth Elementary School. This is her 8th year to be a teacher. She taught fifth grade her first year, and then this is her 7th year being in third grade. And she's amazing. She is the third grade chair, and she's working on her national boards. And well, she's finished with her national boards, just waiting to see if she passed or not. She's just such a spectacular teacher, and I've learned so much from her over the years. She's expecting her first little baby in just a couple of weeks, and so we're super excited about that. But moving on, anyway, she works at Corinth Elementary School. We have a very diverse group of kids here at Corinth. We have around 1,300 students. At this moment we have 715 Caucasians, 395 African Americans, 140 Hispanics, and 13 Asians that attend here. So me and her, we always have things to talk about, because I feel I start the kids in pre-K, and then by the time they get to third grade, if she gets some of my previous students, we get to talk and just see how they've grown. And so that's kind of fun to talk about. But the first question was, what kind of diverse needs have you observed regarding your students in your teaching career? And she just said she's had all different kinds of students, some with advanced intellectual capacities, and some that perform below grade level. Working at Corinth, like I said, we have such a diverse group that our classes are always very staggered. You're going to have some of the highest of the high, and then you're also going to have some of the lowest of the low, and it's just how you go about working with those students and fitting the needs of each of them. But this is she also was talking about how one year she had a child with some mental issues, and that was the year that kind of just gave her the perspective of how she was gonna work with that amongst the rest of her kids in her class, and just make sure that everybody was comfortable and nobody stood out. With that was the question that also it went ahead and went straight into the second question, would give me specific examples of how you're addressing these needs. And so she said that because of that child with the mental issues in her class that year, she had to really think about how she was going to set up her classroom. She uses rotations and centers daily and has for years. She feels like being able to pull a small group really helps you to be able to meet the specific needs of each children, because you only have 4 to 5 kids in a group. And she said that year that little girl was so smart, but her background and the things that she were going through would lower her ability to do the academic work. So she ended up having to pair her with another child, and they worked with each other to push each other, because one little girl was struggling academically, and then one of the girl that had the issues, she would push her academically, and the other girl would help her behaviorally. And she said they just became 2 of the best friends. And she just said that was just such a positive thing as a teacher, to see that not only do the teachers do the teaching, but the kids can also be great teachers in the classroom if we give them the chance to be. And then number 3, can you give examples of how you're working with families? She kind of does the same thing that we do down here in pre-K. We are required at Corinth to do 3 face-to-face conferences every year. We try to do one at the beginning before we get out for fall break, and then we'll have 2 in the spring. One as soon as we come back from Christmas, and then we'll have another one before we get out, where teachers have to have those harder conversations about passing and failing and testing and those kinds of things. But just on the daily basis, she said that she likes to use the Remind app, which we all kind of use to keep in contact with parents. That's just a way that she said she likes to send little positive reminders and things like that daily, just to let parents know, hey, I'm thinking about your child. This is what they did great today. This is what we have due next week, just to kind of keep them in contact. And she also does a weekly newsletter, and that's just where she puts those important skills of this is what we're working on, this is what we will be working on, and moving on, just to kind of prepare them for things that are to come. And then the last question was, do you feel like your education helped prepare you for working with children with diverse needs? And she said that she believed that her education prepared her as well as it could have. And this is where we had a huge, long conversation about how college does a great job of preparing you, for learning the standards and writing lesson plans and, helping you learn about children with diverse needs and how to help them and work them into your lesson plans. But we both felt like we could have used more hands-on experience in college. She went to Mississippi State and got her undergrad and her master's through Mississippi State, and she pretty much had the same thing to say that I did. I got my bachelor's and now working on master's through the University of Mississippi. And, during your student teaching, I feel like that's when you really get down and dirty and you learn all the things that, what's really to come. And I just wish I would have had more of that. And that's what she said, that, having an hour here of observation or, twice here, during the semester, it's just not enough. It doesn't really show you what these teachers are really doing. And we just wish we could have been in a classroom longer instead of being, in the classroom at college doing the book, studying the book and taking tests. We really just needed to be in the classroom and getting that experience from those other teachers. With agreeing or disagreeing with Alicia, of course, it was easy. It was easy for me to agree with her. When you work in the same school with people, you see a lot of the same things. But I loved hearing about her working with the little girl with the diverse needs that she had during her first year at the elementary school. It literally brought me to tears to hear how that little girl just excelled through third grade, which can be such a difficult grade, just because, Alicia took the time to be there for her and help her and give her opportunities, to learn in different ways than everybody else was learning, because not all teachers give you that opportunity. And I'm just glad to know that, she is, and that's another thing that makes her just such an amazing teacher. That was one of the things that really stuck out with me the most, that I agreed with. I want to strive harder to do those things for my students. We also use centers and rotations in pre-K, and I feel like that is when I do the main core of my teaching, is being able to pull these kids and talk with them daily. So that's just such an easy way to help you, get to know your kids and know what all they're going to need. But I do agree with pretty much all the information that she gave me, and I was able to hear her responses, and, pretty much those would have been my responses too. And because as soon as she would start to say something, I would think, that's exactly what I would say. But you can just tell that these kids leave such a mark on her heart, and she just is one of those teachers that everybody should be able to learn from.